Got into a real sticky situation the other day. Sticky as in sticky species. This fir tree belongs in the forest. A lot of people plant them in their urban environments and they grow entirely different down in an urban setting than they would up in their native habitat. Up in the woods, they become very tall, slender trees and they can easily reach heights of over 100 feet. But you bring them down into the lowlands and they become kind of squat, messy trees. So this particular tree was lifting his driveway, and unfortunately, to replace the driveway, the roots would have been damaged, and he decided to get rid of the tree. And I concur. I think it was a smart move.
All right.
Sometimes the wrong tree in the wrong spot, you just gotta bite the bullet and say, okay, let's start over.
The tree, so you're not going to hang it.
A lot of the neighbors were upset. They came out and said, "Oh, why are you taking down that beautiful tree?" And yeah, it was a nice-looking tree. It provided shade. There was a lot of benefits to it, but sometimes you got to weigh out the pros and the cons. So I asked my daughter Callie if she wanted to come help me on this job, and she's a school nurse. So the school is shut down, and she's been home with us for this whole shutdown period.
If I can.
And as a outdoor service, California now said that gardeners and tree people, we can all go back to work. I was shut down for quite a few weeks. Felt really good to get back to work.
Watch it.
So I got up and decided I was going to get some of the low stuff taken out of here because I've got the bucket truck again. I brought my small bucket, but it was so wide that it was better to get started, with some of the low stuff, get it out of the way. I grabbed my electric saw, which was probably a mistake.
I
wanted to see how well it did.
They're in the truck.
And these electric saws are great for pruning saws. And there's pros and cons to it. On the one hand, you don't have all this exhaust. It instantly starts. It goes every time. There's my daughter, Callie. Tell her to get her hard hat on. She's a tough worker. It was a hard. I warned her too. I told her it's going to be a mess. I love these rings, especially in sticky trees. If I had to put it over a crotch, the rope would have gotten incredibly sticky. As it was, I grabbed one of my old pine tree ropes. I do separate out the ropes for species of trees, and pines and firs and real sticky, ugly trees. It's better to have designated ropes that, they're not trash ropes, and you can wash them and get them clean again. But, if you have specific ropes for the trees that are not so sticky, then it's better to keep them that way. Tying a clove hitch there. Got Jorge on the ground doing some roping for me. Now, a lot of times I will rope branches that would be just as easy to drop because it makes it more. The job goes smoother, as if you've got a big heavy branch, and these were really, really heavy branches, and you control it down with a rope, then the ground crew can grab the tip of it and pull it out. And while I'm moving on to the next cut, just being able to manage it. If I would have made, multiple cuts, one on top of the other, then the ground crew is unburying things. And, it was not a really tall tree. I guess it was probably about 60 feet or so. And I decided to drop the top. I dropped about, I think I cut the tree about in half, so it was about a 30-foot top. Now, I tied a rope on it, which was not really necessary. I wanted my daughter to be able to experience pulling down the top. But just as important, I wanted them out on the road paying attention to any traffic that may have occurred. And I told them, I said, as soon as you see a car, drop the rope and you go out and you stop the car, if a car should come. It was a real quiet street, but I wanted to make absolutely sure that nobody would drive into our work zone. And that's happened before. I'm sure some of you guys have got stories of cars not paying attention. But she had fun, and it was a good experience for her. Gave her a better idea of what her old man does and how we pay the bills around here. Got the GoPro mounted on my head. I don't do that too often. It does kind of give a false sense of height. So this is not really a big tree. There is something I do want to talk about. I went up here, and these pieces of wood were quite heavy. They were probably 60 to 100 pounds for every piece of firewood. I didn't use the camera up on the top because my hands were too sticky, but when I got down at the bottom, I restarted it. Now here's a trick that I wanted to share with you. Dowels are a really valuable tool, and if you put a couple of dowels in as you're going, a dowel that fits the size of the kerf. Don't make them too small. If they're too big, they won't fit in the kerf. But if you put two of them in there, then what happens is that as you get to the end, the saw will come out fairly easy. If you pinch the saw and you've got a lot of weight, I'm taking about a 4 or 5 foot piece of wood here, so that's probably at least 500 or 600 pounds. But with the dowels, I zip it off and it settles down on the dowels, and I can get the saw out easy. But you point the dowels in such a direction that you want to roll it, and it works quite well. I've taken pieces of wood that were several thousand pounds and used dowels. It was a little bit pinched there, but not bad. I should have had the rear dowel, the one closest to me there, in a little bit further, and it would have rolled right out to the edge. So it rolled and then hung up just a little bit. But if you place the dowels correctly, you can move massive big pieces of wood. And I decided, there you go, you can see how old that tree is. I counted about 60 rings, and a 60-year-old fir up in the mountains would be considerably taller. Probably about the same diameter in the trunk, but it would be a completely different shape. So even the butt cut there was about a 4 foot piece. You can see it. I'm using the camera with one hand, so I had to pull the saw out with the other hand. It came right out. And I called to my daughter. I said, I want you to push this off here. You push from the top, you're kind of levering it down, but if you get down low and push on it, then it should just slide right off. Not bad.
Like this.
Okay.